night. The sun had long dipped below the horizon, casting UA High School's campus in a soft twilight glow. The air was thick with the scent of autumn leaves and faint traces of lingering sweat from training sessions that had ended hours ago. Graduation was just around the corner, but for Katsuki Bakugo, life felt far from settled. He sat alone on the rooftop, legs dangling over the edge as he stared blankly at the city lights stretching out before him. His explosive quirk flared occasionally in small bursts at his fingertips, a physical manifestation of the turmoil brewing inside him. He hated feeling this way, uncertain, vulnerable, trapped between two men who seemed to orbit his world like twin stars, pulling him in opposite directions. Katsuki didn't know when it started. Maybe it was during their internships last summer when Shoto Todoroki had saved him from an ambush by villains. Or perhaps it was earlier, back when Izuku Midoriya Deku had first joined Class 1A and refused to back down despite Katsuki's constant ridicule. Both moments lingered in his memory, not because they were extraordinary events, but because they revealed something about himself he hadn't wanted to face. He cared deeply for both of them. Later that evening, Katsuki found himself reluctantly attending Ochako Uraraka's post-training celebration party. It wasn't his scene, he preferred solitude or one-on-one spars, but she'd been insistent, practically dragging him along. The room buzzed with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. Everyone seemed happy, carefree. Everyone except him. He grabbed a beer from the counter, ignoring Uravati's cheerful greeting, and retreated to a quiet corner. From there, he watched as Deku animatedly chatted with Tsuyu Asui nearby while Shoto leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed, eyes scanning the room with detached coolness. Katsuki couldn't help but notice how often those icy blue and red heterochromatic eyes landed on him. Hey, a familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. Katsuki turned to see Deku standing beside him, holding out another drink. I didn't ask for that, Katsuki growled, though he took it anyway. Deku chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his neck. Yeah, well, figured you might need it. Katsuki rolled his eyes but didn't respond. Instead, he sipped the beer, letting its bitterness wash over him. For a moment, they stood in silence, watching the others dance and laugh. Then Deku spoke again, softer this time. You okay? You've been kind of distant lately. Katsuki stiffened. What's it to you? It matters, Deku said firmly, meeting his gaze. Because I care about you, Kachan. More than you realize. Before Katsuki could retort, Shoto appeared beside them, his presence commanding even without words. He glanced between the two, his expression unreadable. You're hogging him, he remarked coolly to Deku. Deku bristled immediately. I'm not hogging anyone. Unlike some people, I actually talked to him instead of glaring from across the room. Oh, is that what you call it? Shoto shot back, stepping closer. Because it looks more like you're trying to force your way into places you don't belong. Katsuki groaned, rubbing his temples. This was exactly why he avoided social gatherings. Their bickering grated on his nerves, yet part of him couldn't ignore the undercurrent of possessiveness in their tones. They weren't fighting over anything trivial, they were fighting over him. Shut up, both of you. Katsuki snapped, slamming his bottle onto the nearest table. Heads turned briefly, but no one dared intervene. Stop acting like I'm some damn prize to be won. The room fell silent, save for the faint hum of music in the background. Shoto and Deku exchanged heated glares before turning their attention back to Katsuki. He looked furious, cheeks flushed, hands trembling slightly, not entirely from anger. I don't know what's wrong with me, Katsuki muttered, more to himself than to them. But whatever this is, stop making it worse. With that, he stormed off, leaving behind a trail of tension so thick it could choke the air out of the room. Outside, Katsuki leaned against the building, trying to steady his breathing. He hated feeling exposed like this, like his emotions were written all over his face for everyone to see. But deep down, he knew neither Shoto nor Deku would let this go. Not now. Not after tonight. Unbeknownst to him, the two rivals remained inside, locked in a fierce verbal battle. You think you can just waltz in and take him? Shoto hissed, his voice low but venomous. After everything I've done for him. And what have you done? Deku shot back, stepping closer until they were nearly nose to nose. Stand there silently judging him. At least I've been there for him when he needed someone. He doesn't need your pity, Midoriya, Shoto spat. He needs strength. Someone who can match him. Strength isn't everything. Deku shouted. Love isn't about dominance, it's about understanding. Their voices carried through the open window, reaching Katsuki's ears. He froze, heart pounding as he listened to them argue over him. Part of him wanted to march back inside and shut them up once and for all. Another part, a part he hated to admit existed, felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest. For years, Katsuki had prided himself on being self-reliant, untouchable. Yet here he was, caught between two men who saw right through his defenses and refused to let him push them away. And worst of all, he wasn't sure he wanted them to. As the argument escalated further, Katsuki clenched his fists, frustration boiling over. Damn it, he muttered under his breath. Then, without looking back, he walked away into the night, leaving chaos in his wake.